All right. I got to learn about ICAN marketing through a series of LinkedIn posts, really. It was really through my interaction and engagement with the brand on LinkedIn. You guys were doing a lot of work around speaking about the topic of content marketing and really positioning yourself as an expert in that area. And so, as I was on LinkedIn, it was one of the topics that I found to be very engaging because it was consistently, presented. You really saw a lot of case studies, a lot of testimonials, just a lot of great examples of how a brand could use content marketing as part of their overall marketing strategy to be able to, achieve a lot of their marketing and business goals. So I really became acquainted through the platform LinkedIn. For me at the time, I had identified that content marketing was one of the tactics that I needed to employ, in the new year that I had planned in the new marketing year. And I decided what better way to actually, get the first-hand know-how, but from an expert, somebody who I'd already, as I said before, interacted with on LinkedIn over a couple of months and seen that, they had a relevant experience in the subject matter area. And that they would be able to speak, considerably about this topic area to my team members, who I think for them the concept was still new somewhat, and even though, we were doing aspects of it, we weren't necessarily doing it in a very strategic and a focused way. So I thought one of the best things to do with the team at the time was really to bring in that expert. At the time, it was our planning retreat. And usually that's a time when you kind of level set for the year to say, okay, here are some of our priorities. Here are some of the areas that we do need to get some training in. And let's identify who are those experts that we can work with, that we can bring in, and so that the team would be able to interact with these thought leaders, these experts in these particular areas that could help us to be better at what we do on a daily basis. So one, to become better marketers, and certainly the end goal was really to achieve our business and our marketing objectives. Well, I think what stood out the most was really that it was very purposeful and it was customized for our brand. Again, you can bring in an expert and you can present on a subject matter that, you know very well about. But how can you make it relevant and personal and customizable to that brand is what is always going to make a huge difference, because people only care about what is relevant to them and what are their priorities at the end of the day. So I found that with the presentation, it really helped us to really look at our brand. What was the situation with our brand at the time, and then what were some of the practical tactics that we could actually execute to be able to really give us that edge that we were looking for, help us to kind of build the kind of relationship we wanted to build with our customers over the long term. So it was very, very helpful and useful in that regard, because it was really not just about the ideas around content marketing, because anybody can really just Google that, you know what I mean? But it was really know how to make it executable, as it relates to our brand at the time. I think the greatest value that we got from a training comes back to the sort of the first question, in terms of helping us to be very much purposeful around achieving our marketing goals and our business objectives. So again, we had set out on this path that we had a couple of big objectives that we wanted to achieve for the year, and we had identified what we thought were going to be some of the different strategies and tactics that will help us to get there. So identifying now, the subject matter expert in that area who could give us some guidance and lead us on a path that we thought we needed to be on. And so I think we were aligned in the fact that, yes, as a brand, we needed to do more in that particular area around content marketing, and really being able to look at what would have been some of the key benefits. So the training was able to help us to articulate that, because sometimes you identify that you have a problem, you also are aware of what the solution may be, but having somebody to guide you along the way is actually helpful, because now you can quantify, you can identify, very specific measures, very specific goals, just all the very specific things around the content marketing strategy that you needed to employ to ensure that it was going to be effective. Because it was not just about employing the tactic as a part of the overall strategy, but was to make sure that what we were doing was going to be effective and impactful on the goals that we were trying to achieve. So that, I think, was the biggest element that we got out of the training, just kind of pulling that together as a cohesive strategy, and to be able to now say, yes, we now know why we're doing this thing. Because the why is also important, because a lot of times as a marketer, people like to pull these tricks out of the air and say, okay, let's do this because everybody else is doing it. But does it make sense for my brand now? And what am I trying to achieve? And I think the training helped us to solidify that ask that we had, and we were able to see it come to life. I would certainly recommend the ICAN team for training for marketers. I think definitely your team is very much equipped, very much experts at what you do, especially, in that area of content marketing. Hands down, the training was really, really great. And I think that, a lot of marketers can learn from people who are subject matter experts, because in our area, the field of marketing, it's so wide, and there are people who really delve and take the time out to really study that subject area as a niche from themselves. And I think that, once you can identify those persons, and look at what they have done, look at their track record, the kind of customer testimonials that they have, the kinds of wins, the kinds of great use case examples, and be able to just walk through, so that some of the learnings, you don't have to make, so many mistakes. Yes, I think most teams will eventually get it and they'll eventually learn. But that's kind of an expensive way to go about it. And I think that once you can identify an expert, work with them, you definitely are able to achieve the results that you need to achieve in a quicker and a shorter time frame. And also, it's going to cost you less if you think about it in the long run. So definitely, I would recommend you guys 100%.